everybody, welcome to Module 7, Constructivist Art Teaching. This week, we're going to shift the way we've been looking at the classroom, and we're going to focus now on the guide on the side. So constructivism isn't new. It's rooted in Dewey's belief that students learn best through lived experiences. Think about your own life. Think about the times where through a book you didn't really necessarily understand or learn something, rather than you learned it through experience. So in art education, this means creating classrooms where students construct meaning through inquiry, collaboration, and creative exploration. So there's a great shift in the classroom. Originally, we have traditional teaching, where traditional teaching is teacher-centered. It focuses on curriculum and memorization. While with constructivists, and the view of constructivists is that it's student-centered and it has a flexible curriculum and it's inquiry and meaning making. In the video comparing traditional teaching and constructivism, you saw the contrast visually. In our education, this means that we're going to, with the constructivist view, we're going to move away from copy the teacher projects towards student-driven projects where personal meaning guides outcomes. When we're in the classroom and we want to really think about becoming a facilitator of learning, we want to encourage autonomy without really fostering dependence. We want to have value in the inquiry through essential questions. We want to treat curriculum as lived and responsive, and we want to collaborate as a co-learner. So in Hesser's 2009, he describes this journey as the high school teacher, where he let students co-create projects. They became more motivated, and one said, "I discovered that what kind of artist I am." And this embodies Vygotsky's theory, where the teacher sets up scaffolding, but the students construct knowledge with each other, and the teacher just simply guides them through it. When we learn from our experience, right, and we were looking at Hesser's case study, and he was fixed on the West African mask flopped, and he realized that there was disengagement. So the shift was to shift from a student-centered approach where we had more ownership and a deeper work, and students produced portfolios that were actually worthy. So Hesser's story shows how constructivism transforms learning. When students connect projects to their own culture or experiences, they take ownership and produce deeper, more authentic work. Again, I'm going to ask you to always think about those moments in your classroom experience, in your educational experience, where you had that opportunity and you had more connection to the work. So a simple example would be in my photography classes. When I'm about to teach software, instead of me providing images, I'll actually provide a very simple project. So one of them was simply called 10 subjects. And I asked students to go and take pictures of 10 subjects on any device. And with that, then they came into the classroom with their own images. And this in itself provides a deeper meaning, because each single student is going to create their own imagery through their own wants and desires. And then through their editing, it's going to be the same thing. So we definitely have multiple pathways for learning. In the multiple pathways, we have content. And with content, we're looking at multiple texts, artworks, and different levels of complexity. Then we have process. So we can use choice boards, we have flexible grouping, we have tiered tasks, and then we have products where we have learning menus and varieties of formats and contracts. So in the Foundation article 2014, it highlights strategies like choice boards, learning menus, and tiering. So for example, a choice board might let one student write a poem about color, and another create an artist cube, and another can create a poster. So everyone gets to explore the same concept, but through their own lens, again, providing a deeper connection. And we have different ways of building mastery. We try to provide, tailor, and encourage. When we provide, we're providing temporary supports. Gradually, gradually removing them. When we tailor the support to readiness levels, and then we try to encourage. When we encourage, we're encouraging independence, and we're building confidence. So in the video, Scaffolding for Student Success, you saw that this metaphor was in action. And the video itself also explained how scaffolding encourages all students to move together in a forward space. Think of pre-teaching watercolor techniques to beginners while pushing advanced students to explore more complex applications. When we learn in community, community equals curriculum resources. Students investigate things through wants, desires, like history, art, and cultural identity. So in Boding's 2006 article, it describes taking students to a cemetery where they learn through history, art symbols, and local stories. Instead of reading about history students experienced in their texts, they get to actually live it, experience it, be curious about it. Similarly, like in LA, you could visit murals and community art spaces. And through it all, this type of teaching is not always easy. You have many things to deal with because instead of it being this is how you're going to learn and you are going to do this, you're really facilitating a lot of independence, and that a lot of independence can create a lot of different things happening in the classroom. So classroom management is going to be really important. You're definitely going to have more noise. You're going to have definitely less control. Assessments are going to be a little bit harder because you're going to have to kind of think broader about how you can assess your students. And we also have to think about equity, how some students may thrive in this situation while others really need more structure. So it really definitely gets you thinking and reflecting on the classroom. So in Hesser's article 2009, he admits that this constructivist classroom sometimes feels very chaotic. And I can tell you, it can feel very chaotic in my experience. And the critics argue that it can dilute standards. But the key is balance, giving students ownership without losing sight of learning goals. And like I had kind of said earlier, you really have to reflect all the time. I feel like that is really important, reflecting on your classroom. So you have this plan and you're going to realize that this plan doesn't necessarily lay out the way you want it to lay out. But if you can kind of step back and you can kind of pinpoint, wow, this is working and this is working and this isn't working. And then you realize, well, guess what, everybody? Every day is a new day. And if every day is a new day, you can simply communicate like I do in my classroom. I can say, hey guys, you know what? This didn't work. We're going to try it like this. And what you're doing is you're hopefully broadening the classroom experience and building a sense of community because the students have kind of a connection. It's not just the teacher telling you what to do. You as the constructivist teacher. You as the constructivist teacher will realize that students ultimately learn by doing and not just by listening. It's just not enough, especially in our environment as artists. And that providing multiple pathways are going to just simply equal success for you in the classroom. And that success is connected to fostering inquiry, building autonomy, and really getting those kids to take risks. So one of the biggest things that I'll leave you as a takeaway in the classroom is in all age levels, what I'm experiencing and seeing is that students are afraid. They're afraid to take a risk. They're afraid to make a mistake. And that does not foster a good learning environment. And that you as this guide will have to spend the time to make them feel safe, to make them understand that it's okay to make mistakes, that problem solving equals mistake making, and that mistake making equals discovery. So think of your role as empowerment for students and that you're there to help them build meaning, take risks, and see themselves as artists and thinkers. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and I cannot wait to see your work.